I'm Nora Bennett, and that instant when my life turned upside down is etched in my memory like an inscription in rock. I was organizing spice containers in the kitchen when my phone vibrated inside my apron. I nearly dismissed it, assuming it was merely another alert or a note on shopping, but my interest got the better of me. I unlocked the display, and within moments, a familiar voice delivered a revelation that almost shattered me. It was Megan, my son's wife. Her manner wasn't kind or courteous. It was biting, laced with disdain, and the phrases she directed at my son, Adam, wounded me more profoundly than I imagined. She labeled him dull, worthless, not deserving of her attention. She ridiculed the guy who labored daily to maintain their household. She even suggested undermining him professionally to give her a reason to leave. That evening, my spirit chilled. Come the following day, I was sure of one fact. I required a strategy, one that Megan couldn't anticipate. Prior to explaining how events progressed, you must grasp the existence we'd created, the everyday pattern that amplified the pain of the disloyalty. I'm Nora Bennett, aged 62, a lady who took solace in the routine habits of her modest kitchen. Each night, I'd replace jars on the timber rack, prepare coffee, and anticipate Adam's return from his job. He was 35, reliable and consistent, invariably toting a sack of baked goods from the small patisserie nearby, the identical spot where I'd purchased his birthday treats during his childhood. Our path hadn't been easy. Adam's dad passed when he was 12, leaving me to bring him up solo. I mended garments for locals, peddled tamales at the Dawn Bazaar, and operated a small shop after dark. Every cent I made funded his schooling. The moment he crossed the platform clutching his college diploma, I wept like an infant. That was when I sensed all the endless evenings and sore palms had paid off. Thus, when Adam brought Megan into my life, I felt my wishes were granted. She seemed affectionate, respectful, and even addressed me as mom. I trusted she'd cherish him as I had. The day of the occurrence started ordinarily. I was straightening the kitchen when my phone alerted me to a fresh update. It came from Megan, my son's spouse. This was odd in itself. She shared our home, and for any request, she'd typically voice it directly. I figured she might need me to grab produce, or dairy. Without pause, I touched the screen. It was an audio clip, and before I knew it, I'd unintentionally stored it on my device. Upon reopening the application, the note had vanished. Right away, Megan messaged. That was an error. Did you listen to it, Mom? I paused, my pulse racing. An inner voice urged me not to admit it. So I responded, no, honey. She replied solely with a thumbs up symbol. I settled at the table, still grasping a salt dispenser. My digits quivered as I accessed the sound file. Megan's tone echoed through the space, but it lacked the gentle quality she showed me. It was cutting, derisive, brimming with irritation. She referred to the listener as bro, and I understood she was conversing with her sibling, Tyler. Then arrived the statements that stabbed me like a blade. Adam is incredibly dull, utterly worthless. He doesn't earn sufficient funds for the lifestyle I merit. I can't tolerate staying with such an average guy any longer. My torso constricted as I continued hearing, each remark icier than the prior. I remained rigid in that timber seat, gripping the phone as if it might attack. My initial reaction was to think I'd misunderstood. That pressure had distorted her speech. Yet upon replaying, the identical harsh lines resounded. Megan's timbre was distinct. No mistake or confusion existed. She was blatantly scorning my son, the one who idolized her. Briefly, I contemplated bursting into her space, challenging her, seeking clarification. My veins surged with fury, but a different idea halted me abruptly. If I reacted in anger, I could ruin Adam along the way. He cherished her profoundly, believed in her utterly. An eruption might portray me as resentful, envious, or unstable. I couldn't chance it. I held the phone to my breast and murmured a quiet vow to myself. No open confrontation, no yelling. Record, don't explode. I had to remain composed, collect evidence, and safeguard Adam without alerting Megan. At that instant, the metal gate squeaked. Mom, I've arrived, Adam announced happily, bearing a pouch of treats, his grin as broad as a sunny dawn. My soul fractured. How could he beam with such affection while the lady he relied on was plotting against him? The subsequent morning proceeded routinely, yet I harbored a tempest within. I arranged the breakfast spread with bread, eggs, and ripe produce as Adam scanned the paper. His expression brightened while he chatted. "Mom, there's a key session today. If they accept the document, I could at last be in line for that advancement." His gaze gleamed with optimism. My spirit expanded with admiration. But as I looked toward Megan, I noticed a difference. A hint of frustration passed over her features before she swiftly donned a cloying grin. "That's fantastic, darling," she uttered, although her tone held no sincerity. Later that day, while cleaning the cooker, I caught Megan murmuring into her device. "Leave it in my hands. Adam won't submit the document promptly. I've taken care of it already." My respiration halted. Every fiber of me warned that she was laying another snare. By midday, Adam was distraught. Documents had vanished from his satchel, the exact files required for his appointment. He ransacked the residence, his tone fracturing with alarm. "Mom, they're nowhere to be found." Megan lingered in the edge, limbs folded, pretending astonishment. "Perhaps you forgot them at work," she proposed guilelessly. That's when I spotted it. A bundle of sheets protruding from amid the couch pillows, concealed sloppily. My pulse thumped, but I maintained a serene expression. "Adam, might these be the ones?" I inquired, passing the papers to him. Gratitude flooded his visage as he embraced me. Megan's beam wavered, her gaze sparking with vexation before she averted, feigning interest in her device. That night, I couldn't bear the burden of the concealed truth anymore. My breast throbbed from quietude. So I strolled to the adjacent home to visit my neighbor and closest companion, Joyce Miller. She'd known Adam from his youth and supported me amid every crisis. We perched on her veranda, the warm season breeze thick with lilac fragrance. My speech quavered as I recounted it all. The audio note, the phrases I'd eavesdropped, the documents stashed in the couch. Joyce's gaze expanded, and she clasped my palm tightly. "Nora, you mustn't allow her to persist. But avoid haste. Assemble evidence. Shield Adam primarily. The facts will emerge, and when they do, you'll have to be prepared." Her steady fortitude anchored me. I recognized her wisdom. The next day, I took another tough step. I contacted Henry and Diane Price, Megan's folks. They were decent, honorable individuals, and I trusted they'd hear me out. We convened in a serene cafe, the type with compact timber counters and the aroma of toasted grains permeating the atmosphere. Following brief courtesies, I positioned my phone on the surface and initiated playback. Megan's timbre poured forth, piercing and unfamiliar from the courteous style her parents recognized. "Adam is dull, worthless. If he damages his standing at the office, I'll at last have a pretext for separation." The statement sliced the quiet. Diane's complexion paled, her palm darting to her lips. "Oh, Lord, no," she breathed. Henry balled his hands, his mandible rigid. I'd anticipate this from Tyler. But Megan, his speech faltered with rage and humiliation. They regarded me with grief in their stares. And right then we concurred. No further justifications, no concealments. Adam needed the reality. Even with Megan's parents aligned with me, I realized it fell short. Exchanges among relatives could be refuted, distorted, or ignored. I required something irrefutable, something with significance beyond our domain. That's when her employment came to mind. Megan worked at a media firm, and her immediate boss, Dana Whitaker, was known for being equitable yet strict. That evening, I positioned myself at Adam's outdated machine, the monitor's light illuminating my weary features. My digits lingered above the keys as I composed a message. I maintained my language straightforward and courteous. No wrath, no slurs, solely the facts. "Dear Ms. Whitaker, I am Nora Bennett. I am the mother of Adam Bennett, spouse of your staff member, Megan Price. I am contacting you to disclose a recording I obtained unintentionally. I regret the imposition, but it's an issue of principles." Then I appended the sound clip. When I hit dispatch, my pulse raced as though I'd initiated an unstoppable chain. 20 minutes on, my phone sounded. "Mrs. Bennett, Dana Whitaker speaking." I've reviewed the audio. Can you elaborate? Her tone was even, yet bore a note of dismay. I described concisely how Megan had belittled Adam, conspired with Tyler, and concealed his work files. Dana absorbed it without interjection, then exhaled. Thank you, Mrs. Bennett. This validates doubts I harbored. I'll manage it accordingly. The next afternoon, a notification came. Megan Price has been dismissed for breaches of workplace standards. My legs weakened with solace, though I understood this was merely the initial phase. Though Megan had forfeited her position, I knew the struggle persisted. Adam remained under the delusion that his spouse was faithful, and until he witnessed the reality personally, he'd continue offering her his devotion. That terrified me most. Thus, I resolved there must be an instance, a deliberately selected occasion and venue for unveiling the truth. Adam's birthday approached, and the family assembly I'd arranged seemed fitting. All would attend: Megan, Tyler, Adam's pals, and her parents too. No evasion from the inevitable. During the preceding days, Megan acted as if all was normal. She chuckled more boisterously, darted about the dwelling, and even modeled a vivid crimson gown before the looking glass. How do I appear, Adam? Stunning, she queried with a twinkle in her gaze. Adam beamed, forever loyal, and affirmed she was lovely. I lingered silently by the kitchen entrance, compelling a blank demeanor. The evening prior to the event, I verified all twice. My phone held full power, the audio secure in storage. I even duplicated my records, timelines, and specifics, sealing them in an envelope. As I placed them down, I murmured to myself, no yelling, no conflict, just facts. Tomorrow, the facades drop. Adam's birthday afternoon dawned mild and luminous, though a gale churned in my core. The kitchen brimmed with the scent of mold bubbling on the burner, Adam's beloved from boyhood. I dished tamales, meticulously placing them on a broad platter, urging my palms to remain firm. Visitors started appearing, infusing the home with talk and the shuffle of outerwear. Megan descended the steps in her scarlet attire, lock-styled, grin expansive. She appeared the epitome of a committed partner, but I knew otherwise. Her parents, Henry and Diane, entered discreetly, their expressions taut with concern. Joyce showed up with a wine flask, meeting my glance with a gesture meaning, I'm present. Supper commenced, dishes tinkling, dialogues intertwining across the board. Adam glowed, recounting office tales, his mirth resonating through the area. Each utterance stung me since I knew he hadn't perceived the threat beside him. Megan guffawed excessively, resting her palm on his limb as if no force could separate them. Midway through the repast, I stood from my spot. My legs shook, but my speech remained steady. Before we proceed, there's a vital matter for all to learn. The group hushed. I retrieved my phone from my pouch, pressed start, and laid it on the surface. The space echoed with Megan's tone, acerbic and belittling. Adam is dull, worthless. If he falters professionally, I'll have a justification for parting. Tyler's voice ensued, slick and plotting. Relax, I'll connect you with a superior option. And when Adam slips, I'll claim his role. The atmosphere thickened. Adam's utensil dropped from his grasp and rang against the dish. His countenance blanched as he fixed on Megan. She leaped from her seat, exclaiming, "This is fabricated. You alter my speech." But Henry pounded the board with his hand. "Stop, Megan. That's your tone and you're aware. We won't shield you." Diane concealed her visage in her palms, weeping. Tyler's smirk vanished, his gaze lowering to the board. Adam's mouth quivered. His speech emerged soft, fractured. Was everything false? He faced me, his eyes frantic, seeking responses. I extended for his palm, chilled and trembling. "Son, your affection was genuine. That's never unwise." Megan erect, rebellion gleaming in her eyes. "All right, I seek separation. I don't require a guy like you." Tyler grumbled, "We're finished here," and tugged her to the exit. The clack of her footwear on the ground reverberated like blasts until the entrance banged closed. Quiet enveloped the space. The reality had been uttered, but the harm was evident on my son's features. The dwelling stayed motionless after the entrance shut forcefully. The merriment, the tinkling of cups, all evaporated into a painful hush. Adam remained immobile, gazing at the vacant dish before him. His frame sagged, as if an unbearable load had overwhelmed him. I yearned to enfold him, to guard him as in his youth, but I realized a mere hug couldn't dispel this agony. Joyce softly stood, decanted water into a tumbler, and set it delicately before Adam. "Sip, dear," she murmured with a maternal gentleness. His grip trembled so fiercely that liquid splashed onto the surface. He didn't partake, merely gazed at the tumbler as if hunting solutions in its waves. Henry rose and laid a solid palm on Adam's shoulder. His tone was solemn yet honest. "This isn't on you, Adam. My offspring introduced disgrace to this home. You offered your soul. They selected treachery." Diane, still crying, uttered regrets amid her sobs. Her speech broke with remorse. I positioned myself next to my son, encircled him with my arm, and whispered, "You're not silly for caring. True affection is never erroneous." He uttered nothing, only reclined against me like someone clinging to the final anchor in his realm. In the ensuing days, the home seemed vacant. Adam navigated his habits softly, and I stayed near. Our exchanges were sparse. Then one dawn at the bazaar, I caught murmurs. Two sellers huddled while organizing produce. "That price woman is hopping locations. She abandoned most belongings, surviving from a pair of bags." Another lady added, nodding negatively. "The wealthy fellow her sibling vowed. He's in the news for deceit. Wedded with offspring as well." None unfolded as she boasted. I lingered by the tomato display, my carrier weighty in my grasp, absorbing their statements. Megan had pursued a vision of riches and prestige, but grasped only void. Tyler had vanished too, staying silent post his plots crumbling. I experienced no victory, merely a fatigued form of equity. Their decisions had shaped their ruin, and though it didn't dispel Adam's suffering, it evoked a basic yet deep notion. Deceptions dismantle on their own. Inevitably, time drifted gradually, akin to precipitation soaking parched soil. The home ceased echoing with Megan's phony mirth or Tyler's arrogant timbre. Rather, stillness descended, burdensome yet pure, like a lesion cleared of venom. Adam differed from Pryor. How could he not? Initially, he traversed his routine like a phantom. He attended his job, returned, dined quietly, and sat fixating on void. I fretted, but refrained from urging. Certain wounds resist haste. Slowly, minor shifts emerged. Adam lingered longer at work, immersing in documents and tasks. I heard associates phoning him, commending his honesty, his dependability. Each instance, his eyes brightened slightly. He resumed humming, not the light-hearted melody of old, but a gentler, more reflective one. The tranquility in our abode no longer seemed barren. It was the noise of reconstruction, the onset of a person reassembling his existence, one firm stride after another. One dusk, as the sun sank and tinted the veranda in golden hues, I heard the gate squeak ajar. Adam entered, but not solo this time. Accompanying him was a youthful lady in a plain azure gown, her tresses bound tidily, a plated container of fruit in her grasp. She beamed cordially, her eyes vivid and earnest. "Evening, Mrs. Bennett. I'm Claire Brooks. I teach at an elementary school. Adam has shared plenty about you." Her tone lacked artifice, no contrived charm, just authentic warmth. I invited her in, and we dined as a group. She inquired on the formula for Adam's preferred mole, absorbed his anecdotes attentively, and even assisted in tidying the board. When my water depleted, she replenished my cup unprompted. When Adam referenced a job document, she inclined softly, providing considerate ideas. I observed from opposite the board, my core expanding with subdued ease. This wasn't a lady seeking rank or funds. This was an individual who perceived my son, truly perceived him, and esteemed the person he embodied. For the initial occasion in months, I permitted myself to trust that recovery wasn't merely feasible but commencing. Reflecting, I frequently ponder how I overlook the indicators. The fact is, alerts seldom flutter prominently. They murmur instead, minor remarks, abrupt quiets, subtle alterations in treating the one professed loved. With Megan, the cautions existed. Scorn privately matched with allure publicly. A craving for prestige above security, and understated attempts to detach Adam from his achievements. I desired to assume the positive. Thus, I disregarded what my gut sensed. If one teaching I aim to impart, it's this. Don't ignore the murmurs, log them, maintain a chronology, preserve notes, observe trends. Safeguarding a loved one doesn't invariably entail charging into fray. At times it involves amassing facts meticulously, phase by phase, until denial is impossible. And recall, regardless of anguish, limits are a gesture of care. When you articulate injustices plainly and serenely, you're not dismantling kin. You're defending its essence. Falsehoods propagate swiftly, but facts endure firm and immovable when all collapses. Affection is enduring, but it ought never be sightless. Guarding those we treasure occasionally entails selections that quiver in our grasp. I discovered that facts voice steadily and distinctly surpass any covert murmur in shadows. If you've ever occupied my position, protecting a cherish from disloyalty, understand this. Bravery paves the route to mending. Thanks for accompanying me in this tale. If it struck a chord, kindly like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And share in the comments your location while tuning in. Your thoughts could illuminate another's spirit this evening.